The books are hot, don't get me wrong, but both sellers and buyers right now are taking some huge hits. Let's get into it. Another week, another list of the hottest comic books in the world, and it takes at least 3 different sales for a particular comic book to sell above the 12-month average to land on our Hot 10, and we got a packed list today.
And not only should you be watching these videos, but send it out to your friends who buy or sell comics to make sure they're not overspending or losing money on these sales.
Yeah, because we got a lot of examples of that happening this week. Hit the subscribe, slap the like button. Damn it, we've been doing this video for over 4 years straight without skipping a beat, Jem. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it, but I can believe The Boys #1 is back on the list, coming in at number 10 as we're halfway through season 4.
Season 4 has been superb with a 93% critic rate and a lonely 53% audience rate. It's divisive, but that's how The Boys should be. Don't you agree, Jem?
We're talking Garth Ennis here. It's a comic book where superheroes are the bad guys, so it should kind of rub you the wrong way. We got a CGC 9.4 coming in at $169, 22% above average. The 9.6 is up 24%. The 9.8 had 6 copies outperform its 12-month average, the highest coming in at $393 for a 14% increase.
First appearance of Huey, Billy Butcher, A-Train, The Boys. Last GPA sale for a 9.8 is a lonely $360. That is under $20 more than what this book has been going for all year. While season 4 maintains to be excellent and audience viewership is up over 20%.
We know that they have one more season planned for The Boys, ending it off with season 5, but with these ratings and with spin-offs like Gen V, I don't think it's the last we're going to see of The Boys.
It's convention season. San Diego Comic-Con's just around the corner. While you're hunting, you are bound to miss comic books. I do all the time. There are so many keys to know, and there's so many new keys emerging every single year with new shows that debut, moments in comic books that become a fan favorite. Well, you can keep up on all things comic books by downloading Key Collector Comics, available for both Androids and iPhones. It catalogs not just all comic books in general, but highlights the key moments so that you can learn the books you gotta know when you're on the hunt.
Use code TOM101 to get a free 2-week subscription that unlocks the entire app. You can search their categories. There's one for The Boys. It'll show you every key issue associated with this series.
And this next book is my favorite on the list this week. Number 9 is Batman 251, a major Joker key, one of the few that are even affordable, if you can even call it that. I mean, Batman 1's pretty pricey. We have the Joker going from comedic villain to homicidal maniac with this Neil Adams key.
Well, we have the Joker sequel coming out in just 3 short months, and this is such an important Joker key issue. It's done by a legendary artist, it's got an iconic cover, and it changes the direction of the character for years to come.
I'm really liking the prices of this book. It's showing confidence in the marketplace for this key comic. Let's take a look at the numbers. The 4.0 is up 8%, 6.0 10%, 7.5 4%, 8.0 2%, 8.5 is up 12%, and someone paid $1,069. This book was like selling for around $1,000 all year in an 8.5. This right here shows that, yeah, they are trending above the 12-month average, but not by much. It takes just the quality of the book being a little better than the alternative for someone to spend a little bit more on the book. However, let's take a look at some other sales that have happened within the last month to showcase maybe why some members are buying this book now more than they have been, because some dealers are taking a bath.
Yeah, because even though this book is hot, it made the Hot 10 list, it's relevant, there are still some grades that are selling under the 12-month average. You got the 9.0. Its 12-month average is $1,378, but the last GPA sale is $1,210. The 9.2 is the same thing. The 12-month average is $1,827, but the last sale was just $1,600. That's a $227 loss. And then the 9.4, averaging $2,960, last GPA sale puts it at $2,640.
The movie comes out in 3 months, and in the last 30 days, multiple dealers have taken a bath on some of the high-end graded copies that they had. That also gives credence to why multiple members of the community are hunting for more affordable copies in lower grade, because of the assurance and confidence that this key book will not only rebound, will be a long-term spec play.
Which brings us to number 8 on the list. It's a book that we haven't seen in a while, but it's one of the books that really blew up during the comic boom, and it's still doing pretty well. We have the Raphael Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 1. This is the first one-shot spin-off, the first appearance and cover appearance of Casey Jones.
This book is so intriguing because in 2019, The 9.8 was hitting $950 at its height. But then in 2020, the book blew past $6,000. It was part of one of the many books, but one of the early books that exploded during pandemic and marks the start of the comic boom.
So $6,100 during the start of the comic boom. Where do you think it's selling at today? 50% under? 60% under? What if I told you the last GPA sale of a 9.8 just last month came in at $5,100?
There's only been one sale reported this year for that 9.8, but it's only $1,000 down from its height. It has sold for cheaper in recent years, but clearly members are starting to buy this book now because it's rebounding. The 8.0 is up 13%. A year-high sale clocked in at $245 this past week.
The 8.5 is up 12%, the 9.0 up 3%, the 9.2 is up 16% with a sale of $432, and the 9.4 is coming in right about average, $580. But we have a record setter for a CGC 5.0. There are no prior recorded sales, and it came in at $110.
Jason Aaron is taking over TMNT. The first 4 issues are going to focus on the 4 turtles, giving them their own time to shine in the pages of each individual issue. And we're starting off with Raphael.
And don't forget about Last Ronin. We got the video game coming and the live action movie. Moving on to number 7, we've got Ghost Rider 1 on the list, the first solo series for Johnny Blaze.
What do you think, Jem? Besides Silver Surfer, is there any other hero that they can incorporate into the MCU that will be able to hold their own, especially considering the current state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Not as big as Ghost Rider. I mean, I know Nova would make for a good live-action movie, but yeah, Ghost Rider's got to be the biggest. I actually was fooled. I thought they casted Ryan Gosling, but that's just a rumor.
Ryan Gosling has been asked about his interest in portraying a superhero on the big screen before, and he has repeatedly mentioned that he has a fondness for Ghost Rider. And this information has gotten to Kevin Feige in interview, where Kevin has stated that he would be an ideal actor for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You did. You said,
yeah,
Josh always asked me, and I told him you would never do it.
I said he'd
I was
never
like, I'd
do
love to. Are
it.
you crazy?
Ryan's amazing. I'd love to find a place for him in the MCU.
Giving a little bit more credibility to the rumor, the CGC 5.0 sold for $440. That's a year-high sale and 28% above its 12-month average. A 5.5 had its year-high sale, giving it an increase of 13%, and the 8.0 sold for $1,030, another year-high sale, and it's up 66%.
Woo, and someone over freaking paid for that. Someone this year purchased an 8.0, according to GPA, for $492, and that was a short 6 months ago. The last GPA sale for an 8.0 was $594. What in the world was someone spending $1,000 on an 8.0 in this market? If they were buying it to crack and press it, they would have to have a grade bump to a 9.6 to make it worth it.
Yeah, because look at the CGC 8.5. 2 copies did outperform the 12-month average, the highest coming in at $700, and that's 4% above average.
8.0 to 9.6, very unlikely. That's why you got to hit the subscribe button. We're going to steer you right, comic fam. And let's take a look at the list at number 6, because, we have some monster record-breaking sales to discuss.
Yeah, that's right. We have the first appearance of Supergirl in Action Comics 252, also the first appearance of Metallo. It does have 2 record breakers, but it has a 6.0 that performed 4% above its 12-month average, selling for $3,700.
We haven't seen a 7.5 since 2021. If you were hunting for this book in a high grade, you would have had to wait 3+ years, which is why the last sale went for $9,600, and someone paid $11,400 this past week for an increase of 19%. And it didn't stop there. The 8.5 we haven't seen since 2018. It sold for $20,315 then. Then the comic boom happened, and comics fluctuated. They're all over the place, volatile, to say the least. And this last week, someone paid an increase of 6%, marking a new all-time record-breaking sale of $21,600.
We went from seeing a book like Raphael just do okay from the days of the comic boom, losing $1,000, but now we've got one performing better than it did back in those days.
Support the show directly, and we'll send you some comics every single month. And guaranteed 1 per box is a Boys #1 first appearance reprint with a Homelander done by Johnny Desjardins. Everybody gets a virgin copy. It's limited to 1,000 printed, and that's before damages. But that's not all. We're also sending every single member a copy of Ultimate X-Men #1. Interiors done by Peach Momoko with a Peach Momoko cover.
And that was actually a Trinity Comics exclusive that is sold out. hit ComicTom101.com and sign up for the mail call.
Number 5 on the list is Incredible Hulk 181, first appearance of Logan in full. Page 10 missing, an incomplete copy, sold for $990. That's an increase of 15%. How does that feel, Jem? Do you think members are starting to care less about if a comic book is complete, if it has a coupon, if something's been cut out?
I can see collectors rather have that than having a missing cover. A missing cover on Hulk 181 is a no deal for me. Then you got the 3.0. It sold for $22.15 for an increase of 4%. You got a Mark Jeweler 6.5 that's up 28%, and an 8.0 that sold for $5,500, right about average.
And then we have a 9.2 that sold for $9,900, and that was a year-high sale for an increase of 15%. And by the looks of it, someone took a huge risk, or they overpaid and took a bath.
The 12-month average on a CGC 9.2 is $85.75. This sale clocked in a year high, coming in at $9,900, almost $10,000 for this book, which is a nice copy. It's a white pager. The sale before the $9,900 was $8,800. That was on June 14th. But the problem is the last GPA sale just 5 days later came in at $8,300.
At best, someone was buying this book. It does look great, hoping to crack, press, and regrade, but to make it worth it, especially with a $10,000 risk, because that grade can go down. It's no guarantees. They have to hope for a 9.6. What a risk, or overpayment.
Hey, that's that risk versus reward. It's tough, but it is possible. Moving on to number 4, we had Hulk 181. You know Wolverine 1 wasn't too far behind.
Holy smokes, over 17 different sales in high grade have happened in the last 7 days, and we're not going to report on all of them. Take a look at Key Collector, but we're going to give you some highlights. The 9.4 sold for $250 at its height, and that's an increase of 29% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average, and 7 different copies sold above average this past week.
We had 4 9.6s come in over its 12-month average, the highest being $309, and that's an 18% increase.
The newsstand 9.6 sold for $420, an increase of 16%, and the 9.8 direct sold for $684 for an increase of 5%. I think that's too much money. I think it's too risky with the way the census count has been increasing by the week. There's an increase of 7 9.8s in the last 7 days. I digress because it seemingly doesn't matter. Deadpool Wolverine has this book on fire, and we finally got a trailer featuring Sabretooth versus Wolverine, and it looks epic as hell.
Yeah, from rumors and speculation to seeing teases, now we got the entire introduction of this fight. I'm surprised Iron Fist 14 didn't make the list this week.
This is the 19th time that Wolverine has landed on the Hot 10. I got to know your thoughts if you think that this book is going to maintain its position post Deadpool Wolverine. While we move on to number 3 to talk about Green Lantern. Green Lantern 87, first appearance of John Stewart.
And the second appearance of Guy Gardner, and we finally got the show greenlit. And it's not going to be just limited to HBO Max. It's just going to be on regular HBO.
It's got some crazy showrunners attached. We have Tom King attached. A 8-episode straight to production series has been ordered, and it has this book that is horrendously tough in high grade spike into all hell. Take a look at these sales. A 3.5 is up 7%. 4.5 is up 18%, and that's a year high sale. The 5.5 is up 40%. The 8.0 is up 1%. The 8.5 sold for $699. That's an increase of 12%. And the 9.0 sold for $730. That's an increase of 6%.
And speaking of Guy Gardner, we know Nathan Fillion has been cast to play the character in the Superman movie, but he's like one of the only characters that we haven't seen yet.
I am not as well versed on Green Lantern, but I do know when Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing something, I have to read it. So I've officially put it in order to catch up on Green Lantern War Journal. I'm hearing it's one of the best DC comics of the last year.
And it's a John Stewart-centric Green Lantern miniseries, so a perfect jump-on point if you want to get caught up on Green Lantern.
Which brings us to number 2 on the list with Dazzler's first... No, it's not. It's Captain America 100, the first solo-titled Captain America comic book, formerly known as Tales of Suspense.
Now, besides being a Captain America key that's perpetually relevant, the only other reasons I can see it making the Hot 10 list would be Captain America Brave New World, which I just heard had a budget of $350 million. I think it's going to have a hard time making that back. Or it could be that CGC 9.9 sale from back in January, and we're seeing the trickle-down effect from that $78,000 sale.
The Brave New World test screenings were described as horrendous in nature, which is why we've actually seen some reshoots and footage from the set of Giancarlo Esposito portraying a mystery character in the MCU. I cannot think that this book is spiking because of this movie, even though Anthony Mackie is somebody I'm liking as an actor more and more. You need to watch Twisted Metal, Gem. I keep telling you.
Yeah, and I like Anthony Mackie. I just don't think they have an interesting story to tell with this Cat movie. I think they really need to lead into the Red Hulk aspect of it. Either way, we have a ton of sales here. A 3.5 up 33%. The 4.5 can't even keep up. It's 2% up. The 5.0 is up 10%. The 5.5 is up 6%. The 7.0 sold for $514 for an 18% increase.
The 7.5 is up 2%, and the 8.5 sold for $950 for an increase of 26%. I got to know from the community, with a $350 million budget, assuming they have to double that for marketing, etc., who knows how much the reshoots cost? Is there any chance that this movie is going to even break even? It's not looking good for Cap.
Look at the CGC 9.2. It's down $100 from its 12-month average. The 9.4, the 12-month average is $2,400. It's selling for $1,300. It's $1,000 down. And then you got the 9.6, which is averaging $5,120. The last GPA sale comes in at $4,320.
When you see sales like that happen, some people have to be pretty disappointed. Because not only are they way below their heights, they're way below the 12-month average, while there's movie hype actually happening. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button, and the #1 book, the hottest book in the world, is not Dazzler and it's not New Mutants 98. It's Shatilov.
I don't think Dazzler is going to ever make the list again unless we get a surprise in Deadpool and Wolverine, or unless people start dumping their copies. But yeah, the Silver Surfer first solo series, iconic cover, square-bound book, selling aggressively. And you can get in this book at an entry-level 1.0 for $320. That was the sale this week that landed at 41% above its 12-month average. The 2.5 is up 23%, the 4.0 up 12%, and the 4.5 selling right at about average, $450, the same as the 4.0.
The 7.5 is up 24%, selling for $1,750, and the 8.0 can't keep up. It just sold for $1,650 for an increase of 3%. And you mentioned, Jem, that you would not be caught buying a coverless copy of a key comic book, but someone just did. Let's see what they paid. A 0.5 coverless Silver Surfer #1, last sold in 2023 for a lonely $51, and someone just broke the record paying $100 for the same book. That's an increase of 96%.
You might as well save up the extra $200 and get you that 1.0 with the iconic cover.
And although we are seeing some major movement on lower graded books, let's take a look at what some recent sales have clocked in for the higher graded books, because I expect some dealers aren't very happy, but some buyers are. The 9.0 12-month average was just below $4,000. The last sale was $3,700. Someone saved a few $100s on that book. The 9.4 was averaging $9,100 all year long throughout the rumors and confirmation about these characters and the integration of the first Marvel family and Silver Surfer and Galactus and Shatilov in the MCU, and the last reported sale was $7,800. Hot damn.
Over a $1,000 loss. Now, we did get confirmation that Marvel Studios will be in attendance at Hall H during San Diego Comic-Con, likely to show footage from Deadpool and Wolverine, from Thunderbolts, Captain America Brave New World, and yes, even Fantastic Four.
Are you going to San Diego Comic-Con? I'm going to be there. I would love to see you. Let me know in the comment section if I should look out for you. Maybe I'll do like a meetup or something. And, of course, as always,
Geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
enough said.